All right, and here we are with Miss Lenny. We're going to feed her some of our slurry mix. So this is what final slurry mix will look like. Okay, at this point you can see it's solidifying a bit. It's not super solidified, so it's nice and smooth for her. We are going to take our syringe. So our syringe, you can find these on Amazon. It's basically about a 12 milliliter syringe. What I've done, you can see that Lenny, if you look closely at it, she's chewed on this a bit, so she's used it a few times. What I actually have to do is snip the end off a bit to make it wide enough to actually put slurry through it, just straight from the container. These things are actually pretty thin. They really can only get a liquid through it, so if you've got anything chunkier than that, it won't get through. So you've got to snip off probably about 4 millimeters or so of tip, so you have a reasonable hole here to actually put your mix through. What I do usually is I prime it so that it can, so it's got some moisture in it, because this rubber, after you use it a few times, you should be able to get quite a few number of uses out of these, but if you don't prime it first, the rubber tends to stick. So what I'm actually going to do is I've got a little dish here. I'm going to run some water through. You only want to use either filtered water or bottled water. So I am doing that now. You see here, I've got Lenny on a towel here. This kind of functions both as a bib and in case she gets anything else that comes out of her during this time frame. And we're going to fill our syringe. All right, so we're ready to fill our syringe here. So what you're going to do is take our mix. We're actually just going to spoon it right in the top here. You could try to siphon it through the bottom, but that is very difficult. It's much easier to just put it in here with a spoon. So Lenny is an adult bearded dragon. She's somewhere between 5-6 years old. She's not very big though. That's probably because she probably didn't get the proper nutrition when she was first taken care of as a little one. That's probably why she has the metabolic bone disease. And at this stage of her life, there's only try to make her comfortable. She actually gets around pretty well given her metabolic bone disease at this point. And a lot of that's because she's getting better nourishment, her lighting and temperature are better in her tank. And so now just trying to make her as comfortable as she can be. And hopefully she has a decent life from here out. So for her, we give her usually about 1.5 of these a day. We were giving her some additional water, but she is going pretty regularly now. You can tell whether or not your dragon's getting enough water largely by how they poop. For a while there, she was not going for over a month, and now she goes every day, sometimes multiple times. So we're actually trying to thicken up her mix a bit, because Beardie should go every day or every other day generally. So we want her to still get plenty of fluid from this, but for things to be a little thicker, so that she's not going quite as much. That can't always be the most comfortable for her. It makes her a little runny, a little liquidy. She does get bathed every couple of days or every other day, and that also helps her to hydrate. So we're just trying to keep her hydration up right now. So we're going to do with the syringe. Your bearded dragon may or may not like this. She actually does like the food, but she's also not always the most amenable to eating. Once you kind of have to coax her into it. So we're going to take the syringe here. We're going to kind of put it on the side of her mouth. We have to gently kind of put it in her mouth, and we're going to squeeze some in there. As you can see here now, she's lapping it up, and she likes it. It is a good, nice mix for her, especially when it's fresh. They love it fresh. And you can see she's just licking her lips for it. Okay, so we're going to add some more. You don't have to put your hand underneath her. I'm doing that for illustration purposes only. So we're going to work her here. You can see she's kind of resisting it a bit. And for her, that's pretty normal. Some dragons, as soon as they smell it, they'll start licking constantly, and you can just kind of put it on the edge of their mouth, and they'll take it. If they're more stubborn, using a syringe like this is the way to go. That way you don't have to force their mouth open really hard. We discovered doing it this way to try to reduce her stress, because she was getting really stressed out during eating time, which anytime you stress any animal out, they're not going to eat as well. They won't digest as well. We wanted to keep her stressed out as much as possible. So I'm going to continue to feed this to her. And another reason for the towel is just for your own ease of cleanup, so you don't have a super messy table. This particular towel is actually kind of big, and we just kind of fold it over a number of times so that we don't have to wash it every day. And we'll continue to feed her. Just want to keep an eye on her. She can take in a certain amount in her mouth. And here we're going to finish this syringe. Oops. And that happens pretty frequently with her. We're going to get some, just going to put it back in the cup there. We will clean her off completely when we're all done here. Let's get this last little bit in there. Okay. And that's about as clear as you're going to get it. So we're going to pack it again about half full. Sometimes it's easier to pack it full and then squeeze out till you get the amount you want, just because there's no way you're ever going to get the air out of there other than squeezing it out. So sometimes I pack it pretty full and then squeeze it to the desired amount to get all the air out. Ideally, you wouldn't be shoving a bunch of air down their throat. They would just have to ventilate that anyway. So getting it packed reasonably tight by pressuring the air out is the way to go, I would say, with this. Here we go. Again, I'm going to pack it in there. Just try to squeeze some of the air out and get it down to about half. There we go. We've got about a half a syringe there. And we're going to continue feeding. This mix, once you have it mixed up, keeps about a week and a half, or until she finishes eating it. And so far it's been pretty good. Especially if you're using fresh stuff, it should keep pretty well. The mix itself is designed to have some amount of preservative to keep it for a bit, but you want to be using as fresh quality ingredients as you can. Frozen again is fine. You don't want to get anything pre-mixed, especially something that's got other sugar or additives in it. You want something that's pretty much as close to raw as you can get, like she would get if she were out eating in natural habitat. Oh, come on, money. A little on your head. Give her a second just to kind of recover a bit. And put this last little bit in her mouth, and there you go. She's all fed for the day. So bearded dragons, they're pretty resilient. It takes them quite a bit of time to digest. She'll spend some time in her basking spot after this, so that way she can digest properly. This syringe, so we have some extra leftover water here. If our dragon were not very well hydrated, what we might do is take maybe about 2 milliliters of water. I do it with the food in there because then it's flavored. She'll be more likely to sip it down. And you could put that in her mouth. I'm not going to do that today because she's been pretty well hydrated lately. If I give her more water, it's just going to come out the other end pretty much in an hour or two. That's not generally what bearded dragons do by nature, so we're not going to give her more water. She should have plenty of moisture from the food. And that's it. So if you like this video, like and subscribe. And if you want to see more videos on Lenny, let me know. I'm only doing this mainly for other people to be able to care for her specifically. But if this is helpful for your bearded dragon, I would hope that it is. We are looking at trying to get her eyes taken care of. We're trying to find a local surgeon who might be able to do something for her. But she does seem to be able to get around pretty well. And now that she's eating well, she seems to be pretty happy. And she enjoys walks in the sun. So if you have somebody you want to match her up with, let us know.